Hi, boys and girls. So today we are going to look at our text that we just read, Martin Luther King Jr., and we're going to look at making connections. So by the end of this video, you should be able to explain who Martin Luther King Jr. was, and also why the Lincoln Memorial is an important symbol in America. Before we start, I want you to grab this paper right here. If you look on your activity list, it should say a tub or a file folder. If it doesn't, go ask your teacher. Okay, and then come back. All right, so we're going to look at the text. So it says, I was born in Atlanta. It was 1929. My family was black. Blacks had to follow unfair rules. I could not play with white children. So on your paper, it says was, had, wanted. So I want you to write down what you learned about Martin Luther King using the words was, had, or wanted from this page. So if I look at this page, I can see the word was. So it says I was born in Atlanta. So I would write down right here, was born in Atlanta. It should be spelled correctly because I can pause my video and write down the correct spelling. Also, right here it says my family was black. So, another was. My family was black. And then look, had. Black people had to follow unfair rules. So, had to follow unfair rules. So, you're going to continue to do this while we read. You're going to use this graphic organizer to write down what you learned about Martin Luther King Jr. So go ahead and pause and write down these three in their correct boxes. I was smart. I was a good speaker. I had a college degree and was a pastor. All right, get this out again. I want you to check the text. Go through this and pause the video and write down what you see for was, had, or wanted. I'll take this off and you can pause it. All right. I wanted to change things. I liked Gandhi's ideas. He taught people to be non-violent. Okay, get that graphic organizer out again. I see the word wanted. So go ahead and pause the video right here and write down what he wanted to do. I had a dream for freedom. I marched for my beliefs. I wanted to make America better. I wanted blacks and whites to be treated equally. Okay? Go ahead and pause and look for was, had, or wanted to describe Martin Luther King Jr. So this is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was our 16th president. He declared that slaves should forever be free. That kind of sounds a little bit similar to Martin Luther King Jr., right? Because Abraham Lincoln wanted slaves to be treated fairly and equally. He wanted them to be free. The Lincoln Memorial is to honor Abraham Lincoln for working hard to make sure that all people were free and treated fairly. So as a president, he made that happen. So that's why when he died, they created this memorial to honor him, and it's an American symbol. So this is Martin Luther King Jr., and when he was fighting for equal rights for people, he did a speech during his march, and he did it on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. So you can see right here, here's where his speech would be, and right behind him is the Lincoln Memorial. There's Martin Luther King on the steps, and there's the Lincoln Memorial right there. So making connections. Martin Luther King Jr., right here, and Abraham Lincoln are connected because they both fought for all people to be treated equally. In the 1800s, Abraham Lincoln was fighting to end slavery. Now, the slavery wasn't the problem here, but now African Americans and women were not being treated equally still. So he was still fighting for rights for those people, and he did it right here with Abraham Lincoln right behind him. So the Lincoln Memorial is an American symbol. It honors Abraham Lincoln, a man that fought to preserve America's freedom, where all people should be treated equally. So let's keep learning about Martin Luther King. Some people agreed with me. They wrote laws. Everyone must be treated the same. I was celebrated for my work. So this is part of the speech he said on the Lincoln Memorial. At the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, this is called the I Have a Dream speech, and it's a famous speech that Martin Luther King said. And this says, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That's how they treat people, how they behave. So again, I want you to take out this handy little paper and write down whatever you see here for was, had, or wanted. Make sure you pause so you can spell correctly. Before I could finish my work, James Earl Ray killed me. I was an important man. I had fought for equality and justice. So go ahead and fill in your graphic organizer again. So your graphic organizer should look something like this. Well, we learned that Martin Luther King was born in Atlanta. He was black. He was smart. He was a great speaker. He was a pastor. He was celebrated for his work. And he was an important man. He had to follow unfair rules. He had a college degree. He had a dream for freedom. And he fought for justice and equality. He wanted to change things. He didn't like that things were unfair. He wanted to make America a better place. He wanted blacks and whites to be treated equally. So even though he was killed by someone, did his dream become a reality? It did. Everybody is treated equally. Did you know that we have a special day to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.? It's called Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We celebrate it on the 3rd Monday of January each year. That's right around his birthday. And we celebrate it to honor his work for equal rights for all people. So Abraham Lincoln got the Lincoln Memorial, and Martin Luther King Jr. has a day because they both worked hard to fight for equal rights for all people in America. So you should now be able to explain who Martin Luther King Jr. was and why the Lincoln Memorial is an important symbol of America. Make sure you hold on to that paper and put it in your binder.